I'm going to take care of, y'all excited? I got something good coming up. But before I do that, we have a $2,500 offer on that quilt so far as the highest bid. And we will stop taking bids at 9 p.m. So go on down there and check out that quilt. Now, ladies and gentlemen, there is a rebellion underway in this nation. Do we need a president who loves America? Do we need a president who respects the principles of our founding fathers? Do we need a president who will ensure the ladder of hope and opportunity is available to all Americans? Then let's raise those flags. Let's welcome a man once considered a long shot who catapulted to the top of the polls, the leading Republican candidate for the President of the United States of America and the next President of the United States. Ladies and gentlemen, join me in welcoming Mr. Herman Cain.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Oh, yeah. Let's get these set right. Oh, shucky ducky, as they say. Thank you for that introduction. But more importantly, thank you for being here. Because you are here. Because you are patriots that love the United States of America. Let it be borne in mind that the tragedy of life does not lie in not reaching your goals. The tragedy lies in having no goals to reach for. It's not a calamity to die with dreams unfulfilled, but it is a calamity to have no dreams. The American dream has been hijacked, but the good news is we can take it back. It has been hijacked. We've become a nation of crises, one after the other. We have an economic crisis. We have an entitlement spending crisis. We have an energy crisis. We have an illegal immigration crisis. We have a moral crisis. We have a foggy foreign policy crisis. And the biggest crisis we have is a severe deficiency of leadership in the White House and Washington, D.C. Leaders are supposed to lead, not make stuff worse. In the last 3 years, things have gotten worse because of a lack of leadership. And because of this lack of leadership, that sleeping giant called We the People has awakened. That sleeping giant is not going back to sleep, and you are a part of that sleeping giant called We the People. And the encouraging thing about these crises we face, we can fix them. We have the resources. If you look at the history of this country, we've had some ups, we've had some downs. We've had some tough times, but because of that spirit of America, because of the will of the American people that have risen to the occasion when they needed to, we've been able to deal with our problems. And I happen to believe that there is this great movement going on across this country right now that is going to create the kind of momentum that we need in order to bring about a change in terms of how America is led. We can fix our problems. And unlike the current administration, I have some different ideas. Some people claim that they are bold ideas. But the fact of the matter is, you don't think they're bold. I don't think they're bold. We just believe that they're the right things to do for the United States of America. Foreign policy. You know, the thing about rising to the top of the polls is that you get shot at a lot, but pain never felt so good. Keep shooting. Foreign policy. Some of the media elites want to say, well, you know, that Herman Cain guy, he does not have foreign policy experience. And the guy we have there now does. What's up with that? But at least I have some foreign policy common sense. And it starts with my philosophy of foreign policy, which is an extension of the Reagan philosophy. Reagan's philosophy was peace through strength. The Cain philosophy is peace through strength and clarity. We must clarify. We must clarify who our friends are. We must clarify who our enemies are and stop giving money to our enemies. That's how we clarify things. Clarify. And when we clarify who our friends are, we tell the rest of the world that they are our friends and we're going to stand with them, such as we're going to stand with the nation of Israel. They are our friends. Foreign policy common sense. I mean, take the situation in Iraq. This administration, this president, has made the announcement that he's going to withdraw the troops from Iraq by a certain date. He didn't listen to the commanders on the ground. One of the things that a good leader does is that they listen to the people closest to the problem. You listen to the people closest to the problem. So when they withdraw all of the troops out of Iraq, it's going to leave a huge power vacuum for Iran to go in and disrupt everything and undo everything that we've been trying to help them do for the last several years. That doesn't make good sense. And then on top of that, in addition to not listening to the commanders on the ground, pulling all of the troops out and leaving a power vacuum, telling the enemy what you're going to do. That's not how you fight a war. So in a Cain administration, you can be assured of a few things. Before I commit our men and women in uniform, the mission will be clear, the definition of victory will be clear, And we will not get in it unless we plan to win it. That's my foreign policy strategy. And I had a reporter ask me, well, what would you do about Iran? I wouldn't sing Kumbaya. That's not working. And the Secretary of State, Hillary Clinton, bless her heart, waved her finger at Iran and said, don't you all dare go into Iraq once we leave, as if they are going to listen to us waving our finger at them. They only understand two things: pressure on their economy and military might. And the United States of America has the best military might in the world. That's why they don't like us. And we must let them know that if necessary, we are not afraid to use it if we have to. That's what they understand. So the answer to foggy foreign policy is to make it clear who our friends are and who our enemies are. Our economy is on life support. 14 million people are out of work. Millions of people are underemployed. And one fundamental economic principle this administration has not understood, does not understand, is that the economic engine of this nation is the business sector. You've got to put some fuel in the engine of the business sector, or this economy is going to stay stalled. This is why I have put together a bold economic and jobs plan. And during one of the debates, Senator Santorum said, but Herman's plan won't pass. Well, you see, that's the difference between a politician and a problem solver. Politicians propose stuff that they think can pass in Washington. Problem solvers propose stuff that will solve the problem. That's the difference. My first job out of college, out of Morehouse College, was a ballistics analyst with the Department of the Navy. And as a ballistics analyst, we determined the fire control parameters that would go into the fire control system to help our ships and our fighter aircraft properly aim their weapons when they were about to fire. But when you got ready to do a ballistic analysis, the first thing that you do is determine where's the target. What are you trying to hit? Well, in business, the first thing you try to do is figure out what's the problem. Because if you're not working on the right problem, you're not going to solve the right problem. And this administration has been working on the wrong problems for the last 3 years. That's why this economy is stalled and is not moving. Here's how we work on the right problem and fix this economy. Step one, throw out the current tax code, all of it. Throw it out. But the politicians say, that is too radical. That's too bold. And after you throw it out, you replace it with a plan that we have come up with called the 9-9-9 plan. Let me tell you why the politicians, the lobbyists, and the establishment don't like the 9-9-9 plan. The biggest reason that they don't like it, the biggest reason that they make false attacks against the 9-9-9 plan is because you get it, you understand it, and they don't want you to understand it, but you understand 9-9-9. That's why they don't like it. That's why they don't like it. They don't like it because it's simple. They don't like it because it's transparent. There are no hidden nines. There's only 3 of them. We're not hiding any other nines. They don't like it because it's fair. Not according to Washington's definition of fair, but according to Webster's definition of fair, which says that everybody gets treated the same. That's fair. And so thanks to you, the American people, you get it. That's why 999 is becoming very, very popular in this country. This is how we fix this economy. And my approach to all of these problems is the same type of approach. You're familiar with a lot of my ideas. I'm not going to go through all of them, but it starts with the right leadership, surrounding yourself with the right people, and making sure that you're working on the right problem. We have the biggest economic engine in the world. We just simply have to put some fuel in it. We also have the best military in the world, and we've got to stop shortchanging our military by cut. Let's invest in our military. Whenever I give my ideas to some of the people inside the Beltway, which is a very depressing activity, they always say, well, you know, your 999 plan might sound all catchy, but you can't get it passed. I said, why? Well, you can't get it passed because you don't understand how Washington works. I said, yes, I do. It doesn't. I do know how it works. It doesn't. Well, how are you going to get it passed? You got to deal with the United States Congress. I know that. But let me tell you how I'm going to get it passed. First, I am going to make sure that legislation I ask Congress to send me is legislation that you understand. You already understand 999. And then if you understand it, one of my guiding principles is, if you understand it, you're going to support it and you're going to demand it. So you're going to be calling and emailing your representatives, telling them to pass it. You're going to be the secret weapon that's going to get stuff passed in Washington, D.C. You're going to be the weapon. So that's how we're going to get stuff passed. Because as president, Herman Cain is not going to be a president of the politicians, not going to be a president of Washington, D.C., not going to be a president of the bureaucracy. I'm going to be a president of the people, for the people, and by the people. I will represent the people first. First. And one last one, energy. We have the resources in this country to become energy independent. We have the resources. We've got plenty of oil, coal, natural gas, shale oil. We've got the resources. It's been documented many times. We just haven't had the will or the leadership in order to make it happen. And whenever I share that message with the skeptics again in Washington, D.C., I always get, well, you can't do that. Why do they keep trying to tell me what I can't do? I said, why can't I do that? Well, they said, well, you know, EPA regulations. The EPA won't let you do that. Well, my response is quite simply, well, let me ask you a question. Does the EPA work for the people, or do the people work for the EPA? And then I point out to them, I know how it might work now, but in a Cain administration, there will be an attitude adjustment in the EPA. They will work for us. Attitude adjustment time. President Obama goes to Brazil and loans them $2 billion to drill oil off their shore. And then tells the Brazilians that America is going to become their best customer. Let me tell you what the Cain Doctrine is going to be. America is going to be its own best customer. Drill, dig, explore, right here in the United States of America. Because you see, the Founding Fathers, they got it right. The Founding Fathers got it right. We must be the defending fathers to right this ship and to right the direction of this country. Because when the Founding Fathers said they are endowed by their Creator, they weren't talking about the presidents. They weren't talking about the Congress. They were talking about your Creator with certain unalienable rights. That among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And when they said certain unalienable rights, that among these, that meant that there were probably some others that they were thinking about. I happen to think that they were thinking about some other unalienable rights, such as the unalienable right to protect yourself, to protect your family, and to protect your property. We call it the Second Amendment to the Constitution of the United States of America. An unalienable right. And I know that the president made fun of those people who cling to their guns and their Bibles. I kind of like my guns and my Bible. And I'm going to keep it that way. They got it right. All we have to do is go back to those same principles in order to get this country back on the right track. We are going down a road that we don't want to go down. That's why you're here tonight. That's what started the Tea Party movement. That's what started the citizens movement, and it is making a difference. 2008, because of you and because of other people that decided that they weren't going to take it anymore, we changed control of Congress, the House of Representatives. And in 2012, we're not only going to keep control of the House, we're going to take control of the United States Senate, and we're going to put a new leader in the White House in 2012. And in order for us to do that, here are the three things I challenge you to do. I can't do it by myself. Need your help. Three things. Number one, stay informed. That's why you are here. That's why you go to other meetings. Stay informed, because stupid people are ruining America. They are. But you see, if all of the patriots, all of the conservatives, all of the Christians and evangelicals, all of the moderates and independents that are in their right mind get out the vote, we win. We have the numbers. We can outvote the stupid people. That's how we win. Then I had a reporter go, Mr. Cain, that's rather insensitive, isn't it? No, because they're stupid. And as you all know, I don't do well with political correctness. Not one of my strong points. I kind of call it like it is. So stay informed. You stay informed, we win, folks. That's why I'm encouraged. Secondly, stay involved. This is a Tuesday night, and we've got over 3,000 people out here at this rally. You're involved. You have the liberals out there saying, Why do 3,000 people go to a Tea Party rally on a Tuesday night? That's because you're involved. You wanted to come out and support these candidates that are running for local office. It's not just the presidency that we got to make some changes. We got to make some changes at the local level also, including some of these other candidates that you've heard from tonight. Stay involved. And as the great philosopher Emeril Lagasse says, kick it up a notch. Whatever you're doing, kick it up a notch. And then the third thing that I need you to do, and we'll be able to take back this country, stay inspired. You see, they want you to believe that we can't do this. They want you to believe that the hijacking of this nation can't be changed. But I happen to believe that we can, or I wouldn't be doing this. And I know that you believe that we can, or you wouldn't be doing what you are doing. And you know, you and other citizens and patriots are rewriting political history. Because you see, the media and the pundits a few months ago said, well, Herman Cain doesn't have a chance because he doesn't have high name ID. Back in May when I first announced, my name ID was 21%. He doesn't have a kajillion dollars, and he'll never win because he has never held elected public office. I can tell you don't care that I have never held public office. That's what they don't understand. And when I won that straw poll in Florida, and there's been a series of straw polls and polls that I have won since, that sent two messages to the elites and to the Washington, D.C. Number one, it said, when I won that poll convincingly, the voice of the people is more powerful than the voice of the media. And number two, it said that message is more important than money in order to win an election. And I was amused a few days ago last week when I was watching one of the news programs and they were reporting on all of the campaigns, basically reporting on how much money they had raised. You know, the top two, you know, Governor Perry had raised over $14 million. Governor Romney had raised $12 million. And come on down the line and somebody had raised $8-point-some-odd million. And another representative had raised about $4.4 million and some change. And you kept on coming down, and then there's Herman Cain, and he's only raised $2.8 million, and that's a long way from all of this other money up here. And then one of the commentators said, he didn't raise a lot of money, but he's still winning. It ain't about money. It's also message. And the reason is because the people, this sleeping giant, you have a different idea. I am in this race and in the top tier because of you and people who believe like you and people who make your own decisions about who you want to vote for, not based upon what the media tries to get people to believe. And just like many of them didn't think that I would still be in this race, many of them don't believe that I can win the Republican nomination and go on to win the presidency. But I believe that we can do this, folks. And so this is why I encourage you to stay inspired. One of the things that inspires me is the encouragement that I get from you. The encouragement that I get from you is one of the things that inspires me. And one of the other things That's inspiring. And one of the other things that inspires me is when I saw my first grandchild born 12 years ago. My first grandchild was born 12 years ago, and I remember the first time I looked into that little face. The first thought that went through my mind, so help me God, was what do I do to make this a better nation and a better world? I didn't know the answer then. It took 12 years for my life to unfold with a lot of prayer before I knew that this journey was the journey that I was supposed to take. We all have to decide for ourselves at every point in our lives, what journey should you be on? And after a lot of prayer and a lot of soul searching, I came to the conclusion that this was the journey that God Almighty wanted me to be on. And once I am convinced that God wants me to do something, I never look back. I never look back. And so it was the face of my first grandchild and all of the other little faces that inspires me. Because when you get right down to it, folks, it's not about us. It's about the grandkids. It's not about us, it's about the grandkids. And Ronald Reagan, one of our greatest presidents, used to remind us about this very fragile thing called freedom. When he said freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. You can't pass it on in the bloodstream. It must be fought for and protected. Or one day we will spend our sunset years telling our children and our grandchildren what the United States of America used to be like when men were free. I'm not going to have that conversation with my grandkids, and I don't think you want to have that conversation with your grandkids. And as we continue this journey together, I'm also reminded something else that the Gipper used to remind us of. The Gipper used to refer to the United States of America as that shining city on a hill. But in the last few years, we have slid down the side of the hill. And this is why, as President of the United States, with your help, it will be our job to take this shining city on a hill back to the top of the hill where it belongs and never apologize for the greatness of the United States of America. Never apologize. And lastly, there's been a lot of talk about the fact that the president is out trying to raise $1 billion in order to buy a second term. Well, I got news for President Obama and his $1 billion. He may raise $1 billion to buy a second term, but we the people, that sleeping giant, are going to raise some Cain in 2012.
Come on. on. Take it up a notch. Come on.